Greetings. We're Black here on a Monday, or some folks like to call it on a moon day, with Doc Ock at noon and 9. Trying to make sure we start on time. None of these clocks, by the way, around here have the same time. We always try to start about the same time, but it's not exactly 12 o'clock. So noon and 9, that's why we use noon and 9 as opposed to 12 o'clock, because that sun is still straight overhead. Even if it's 5 minutes after, that sun is still straight overhead. So today, the proverb for the day is copying everybody else all the time. The monkey one day cuts his throat. Copying everybody else all the time. The monkey one day cut his throat. So, word for the wise. Word to the wise. That's a word to the wise. The monkey copying everybody else all the time. The monkey one day cut his throat. So I'll let that just ruminate for a while. Let y'all think about that. Meanwhile, we got a poem to read out of the book here. New book, 3,000 Years of Black Poetry. 3,000 Years of Black Poetry. Now, this book has been sitting on our shelf here probably since the 1970s. I see the book is dated 1970, and my mother recognized one of the authors on here as somebody that comes out of Cleveland. But I had never read the book, and the book looks like it had never been written. So I decided to pick it up because I was looking for some poems and see what's in it. And I'm going to share some things that I'm finding here inside the book with you today. Now, we had read the story before. We've talked about the great Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, the author, the founder of Russian literature. Okay, the father. That's even better. The father of Russian literature. So think about this. The father of Russian literature is a black man. Just put those together. Okay. And this is now some of his books we've already mentioned. Some of his most famous books are The Negro of Peter the Great, and that's about his great grandfather. Among other works of Pushkin's are Eugene Onegin and Boris Godunov, and a number of other volumes of poetry. So we're going to read one of his short poems today, and it's called With Freedom's Seed, because inevitably he was a freedom fighter. Okay, he used the pen because the pen is mightier than the sword, but he was liable to use the sword as well because he was a swordsman. Let me get my glasses on here, make it a little easier for me to read. Okay, make it a little easier for me to read today. There we go. Now, let's see what we got now. With freedom's seed, the desert sowing, I walked before the morning star, from pure and guiltless fingers throwing, where slavish plows had left a scar. Where slavish plows had left a scar. The fecund seed, the procreator, O vain and sad disseminator, I learned then what lost labors are. Graze, if you will, you peaceful nations who never rouse at honor's horn. Should flocks heed freedom's invocations, their part is to be slain or shorn. Their dower, the yoke, their sires have worn through snug and sheep-like generations. Now, I realize that is a bit obscure, but keep in mind, this had to be translated from Russian into English, and then we had to make sense of it in English. So, but it starts off with freedom seed. From a very small thing, just a thought, an idea, a great oak tree can blossom from just a very small thing. You know how small an acorn is, okay? Well, the mighty oak comes from that little bitty acorn. So with freedom seed, the desert sowing, I walked before the morning star, that's Venus. From pure and fingers throwing, where slavish plows had left a scar. Most people don't realize that we forget. Well, we don't forget. Nobody's ever even taught us that about white folks being slaves. They try to act like black folks are the only one around here to being slaves. Well, yeah, the Russians had at least 40 million white folks in slavery during the same time that we were in slavery over here. And they beat them and treated them just about as bad as they treated us. Okay? So, oh, vain and sad disseminator, the fecund seed, the fertile seed, okay? Seed that can really grow and just put out, okay? The procreator, oh, vain and sad disseminator. I learned in what lost labors are. Graze, if you will, you peaceful nations who never rouse at honor's horn, a horn like a horn of plenty, okay? Should flocks heed freedom's invocations, their part is to be slain or shorn. Their dower, the yoke, their sires have worn. Now, that part looks like a typo in there somewhere. Through snug and sheep-like generations. So, at any rate, for what it's worth, that's the poem for today with freedom seed. And that takes us right on into our next piece, which is freedom challenge. Now, a lot of you out there, you adults out there, you are having to deal right now with a what they have termed a crisis. But in the lives of black folks, it doesn't seem as critical to me as it might to other people. It seems to me like another day at the office. Okay? Same stuff, different day. So, long before we had this pandemic, the Black Lives Matter, before we had the economic depression of 2020, where everybody should be able to see with clear vision in 2020. Before we had all this, I already knew that there was a crisis in education. Okay, there was a crisis in education, and due to that fact, my idea when my wife and I had our first child, my idea was, whatever we do, don't send him to somebody else to teach him. Now, if you think about it, everybody's first teacher is their mother and or their father. I mean, if the mother died in childbirth, she might have taught it. That might be a lesson right there, but she obviously is not going to be along for the rest of the trip. But barring that unforeseen circumstance, that tragic circumstance, mothers and fathers are the first teachers. Why do I say that? Because somebody taught your child how to talk. They didn't learn in school, and they didn't learn it from no book. They learned it from you. Somebody taught that child how to walk. Who did that? That was you. How did they figure it out? They learned how to walk by watching you, imitating you, doing as you did. Okay? Watching is the same as learning. Whatever they see, that is a lesson. Okay? Who taught that child to run? You did. You taught your child to walk. You taught your child to run. You taught your child how to have fun. You taught your child some games. You may have taught them some things that are really lame, but whatever you did, you taught them some things that changed them until they were never the same. So just keep that in mind. You are your child's first teacher. And as far as reading and writing, well, the teachers don't know how to teach that either. They just recently had started teaching teachers how to teach reading. So who had been doing all the reading teaching before now? Obviously, it must have been the parents. And either they did a good job or they did a bad job. They did an excellent job or they might have done a poor job. But whatever job they did the job. They taught the children how to read. And then from there, if they needed further assistance, the teacher in school, they might help them tune that up some. Okay? Take it up a notch. So we're going to be reading from this book, Freedom Challenge. This is our lesson for the week. Okay, we're going to be reading from this book for the rest of this week. Freedom Challenge, African American Homeschoolers. Now, if you look here on the front, you see some of my children. There's one of my children over there. There's another one of my children is in there somewhere. Where's she at? Oh, there she is, way down there in the corner. That's another one of my children over there. So this is a book that my wife and I, ex-wife and I, we wrote part of the book. And parts of the book were written by other homeschoolers. So this is a book written by African American homeschoolers. So people who were in it to win it, who did it, and whose children are out there in the world now doing whatever it is that they wanted to do. Okay. Let's see. Now everyone has their own, and everybody's story is not going to be the same. And I'm looking for a particular story in here, but I see it's going to be it's making itself difficult for me to find it. Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's making itself difficult for me to find it. But let's see. Here we go. How about this? Yeah, this is a good one right here. And this person was interviewed by a friend of ours who got us involved with this book project way back in the day. This book was published in 1996 out of Eugene, Oregon. Rescuing a Teenage Boy. Yeah, I think this is the story I was looking for. Cast of characters. DC Claw, or Clow, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Single mom, working full time. At the time of the interview, she lived with her son Adam and also with a nephew named Jimmy and a niece, Stavon. Jimmy and Stavon attend school. Adam Claw, 15 years old, homeschooled for a year and a half. Homeschools in conjunction with a local public alternative school, which allows him to earn high school credits and to use textbooks and other resources. However, DC, not the school system, directs his education. DC, in other words, the mom. Adam will be spending the next school year in Malaysia with his father, homeschooling half-time and attending a private school half-time. Donna Nichols White, she's the interviewer, editor of a magazine, a multicultural magazine for homeschoolers entitled The Drinking Gourd. I don't know if she's still producing it or not. You can look it up and see. See her essay in this book, Free at Last. Khalil White, Donna's 9-year-old son, Rukiah White, Donna's 3-year-old daughter, Bruce, a counselor at the public alternative school who checks some of Adam's work and awards high school credits. Donna to Adam, what are your hobbies? Adam, basketball, women, and music. Okay. I didn't know that was going to be in there. Women, huh? Interesting. Donna, can you read music? Adam, read the back of a CD cover. Laughs. Or I guess he said read the back of a CD cover. Donna, Let's start from the top. If you didn't have to do the work that DC gives you to do, what would you do? Adam, sleep. You got to be really specific here because I'm being honest. Donna, do you like Legos and stuff like that? Do you like to build things? Do you like taking care of the horse, planting the garden? Adam, so you asked me if my mom didn't give me work to do and I had to do something constructive, what would I do? Donna, yes. What's your interest? What is your interest? Adam, I like writing stories. Donna, what kind of stories do you like to write? Adam, detective. Donna, and what do your detective stories consist of? Do you have a main? Adam, just a hero, a broad, a villain, and a bunch of club scenes and stuff. This is a typical child. Donna, we're going to have to work on that. We have a hero and a broad. That does not sound, trails off into laughter. Adam, okay, I'll put it more specifically. I have a hero, a woman that's mysterious, that you're always suspecting as the murderer, a bunch of club scenes, and some kind of mafia or something. And do you write for a certain amount of hours each day just on the things that you like to write? Asked Donna. Adam, no, I write when I write. I don't really have like a set time. Just if I'm bored or something and I feel like writing, then I just sit down and write. Donna, so do you think you write every day or whenever you get the opportunity? Yeah, I do. I write a lot at nighttime. Okay, and we're going to leave off there, page 108. Reason I'm reading this book to you, I thought about reading this book to you, or parts of the book, is because, not because I'm narcissistic, but because I had noticed that this book, within the last year, so every year I check to see if there are copies of it on Amazon, etc. And I noted that all the copies on Amazon were gone, that there were only 2 left out there on the internet that I could find anywhere. And they started like $60. So I said, wow, for number one, it doesn't leave a lot of copies out there for people to get. And number 2, they're kind of expensive. But I will tell you a little trick. Okay. One of the tricks of homeschooling is that we don't do all the work ourselves. We actually use resources. There are resources in the community that have been available. Some of them still are available to one degree or another with the virus, et cetera, and things being shut down and opened up every other day. You don't know what's open and what's not. That has made things a little bit more difficult. However, this book, Freedom Challenge, it's in your local library. I guarantee it. If it's not in your local library, you can have your local library order the book on interlibrary loan. They will bring the book to your library, notify you by email that your book has arrived, and you can go to the library, pick up the book at the drop-off window, I guess if you want to, the pickup window, and keep moving. I don't even think you have to actually step inside the library at the one we go to over here in Ohio. So maybe your library has a pickup window as well. If not, you just walk inside, tell them you got something here, pick it up and move. Okay. And the book again is Freedom Challenge. I'm not listed as an author. It was edited by a woman by the name of Grace Llewellyn, but Grace is good people because she helped African-American homeschoolers give a different perspective on give our perspective on homeschooling, what we did and how we did it, not pie in the sky, what we thought about doing, what somebody else told us we could do. These are just stories about what we did and how we raised our children in modern day America without without institutionalizing them from birth. Okay, so we'll return to this. I've gone over my time already. I see I'm going on 19 minutes here. So this is Doc Ock signing out for today. We'll be back here this evening at 9 o'clock. So look for us then, and we'll have some more stories for you. Peace out.